The abandoned ones, the sky was full of fire. Explosions lit up the dark red clouds above the city. Ships flew in every direction, trying to escape. Screams echoed through the air. The ground shook with every blast dot in the middle of the chaos. 2 small alien girls hid behind a broken wall. They held each other tightly. One was a little older, maybe 13. The other was no more than 7. Their skin had a soft blue glow. Their eyes were wide with fear. Their names were Lyra and Nira. They were sisters from a peaceful alien race called the Alari. But now, their world was ending. The enemy had come with no warning. Machines cold and heartless marched through the cities, destroying everything. "Where is Mother?" Nira asked in a soft voice, tears on her cheeks. Lyra didn't answer. She looked up at the sky, searching for the big ship that was supposed to take them away. It was gone. Only smoke and fire remained. "We have to move," Lyra said. She took her sister's hand and stood up slowly. Her legs were shaking. They ran through the empty streets, past fallen buildings and burning vehicles. Dead silence followed them. Everyone was gone. Once they heard a loud metal sound. A drone hovered above them, scanning. They froze. Lyra pulled Nira under a pile of rubble, holding her breath. The drone passed by. They waited 5 more minutes before moving again. Finally, they found an old train tunnel. It was dark and cold inside, but safe for now. Lyra helped Nira sit down. "I'm scared," Nira said. "Are we the only ones left?" "I don't know," Lyra whispered. She looked down at her, small sister, brushing dirt from her face. "But I won't leave you." The tunnel was quiet. Only the distant sound of war could be heard far away. Lyra hugged her knees and closed her eyes. She tried to remember the songs their mother used to sing, but all she could hear was silence. Hours passed. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed in the tunnel. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, not machine-like, but not Ilari either. Lyra stood up, heart pounding. She held a sharp piece of metal in her hand, ready to protect her sister. From the shadows, a figure appeared. Tall, human. He wore a broken helmet, a long dark coat, and carried a bag on his back. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. He looked surprised to see the girls. Lyra stepped in front of Nira. "Stay back," she shouted, but her voice trembled. The man raised his hands. "Easy, I'm not here to hurt you." He spoke in a different language, but Lyra somehow understood the feeling in his voice. He slowly placed his bag on the ground and opened it. Inside were packets of food and a bottle of water. He pushed them forward. "You hungry?" he said slowly. Lyra looked at the food, then at Nira. Her sister's lips were dry, her face pale. They hadn't eaten in 2 days. Still unsure, Lyra took the food carefully and gave some to Nira. The man sat a few steps away, keeping his distance. "My name is Ray," he said, pointing at himself. "Ray." Lyra looked at him. Then quietly, sighed, "Lyra." She touched her sister's arm. "Nira." Ray nodded. "Lyra, Nira." "Okay." They sat in silence. The food gave them a little strength, but their minds were still full of fear. Ray looked at the 2 girls. "You alone?" Lyra nodded slowly. He sighed. "So am I." Outside, the wind howled. Dust blew through the tunnel entrance. Ray stood up. "This place isn't safe. Machines come here sometimes." He looked at the girls. "You want to come with me?" Lyra hesitated. She didn't know this human, but she knew one thing. Staying here meant death. She helped Nira up. "Okay," she said softly. Ray smiled just a little. "Good. Stay close." They walked together into the deeper parts of the tunnel. Ray used a small flashlight to guide the way. As they walked, Nira asked in a small voice, "Is he a good human?" Lyra looked at Ray's back, the way he kept checking the path, always staying alert. "I don't know," Lyra answered. "But maybe." "He's not bad." Behind them, far at the tunnel entrance, a red light blinked. A hidden drone had seen them dot it. Flew away silently, sending a signal. The hunt had begun. The human stranger the tunnel grew darker as they walked. Cold air brushed their faces. Strange echoes followed them. Each footstep sounded louder than it should. Ray walked in front, holding a small flashlight. Lyra held Nira's hand tightly. Her other hand still gripped the sharp metal shard, just in case. They didn't speak. Trust was not easy. Not in a world where everyone had left. Where machines hunted anything that moved. Where your closest friends could vanish in one moment. But Ray had shared his food. He had not hurt them. And that was more kindness than anyone had shown in days. Finally, they stopped near an old maintenance room in the tunnel. The door was rusted, but still strong. Ray forced it open, his hands dirty and shaking from exhaustion. Inside was a small space broken lights, old wires, and the remains of machines that once repaired trains. "This will do for now," he said quietly. Nira sat down, rubbing her cold arms. Lyra looked around. "Where are you from?" she asked slowly. Ray glanced at her. "Earth, long way from here." Lyra had heard of Earth from school lessons. A planet of humans strong, curious, sometimes dangerous. "Why are you here?" she asked again. Ray paused. His eyes looked far. Away, into memories he didn't want to revisit. "I was a soldier," he said, "fighting in the war. Then, left behind." "You were abandoned too?" Lyra whispered. He nodded. "War doesn't care who it forgets." They shared a silence that felt heavier than words. Then a loud sound echoed through the tunnel. A screeching metallic noise. Ray's hand went straight to his belt. He pulled out a small weapon. "Stay down," he said. He moved slowly toward the door and peeked outside. Nothing. Then, again, clunk, a noise from above, like metal scratching metal. "They found us," Ray said sharply. "Come on, now." He grabbed his bag, picked up Nira in one arm, and pulled Lyra with the other. They ran through the tunnel. Dust and old debris kicked up with every step. Behind them, something moved in the dark. Not footsteps, wheels, metal. Wheels. The hunting drone was back. But this time, it was not alone. Ray stopped at a junction. "Two paths. Left leads up," he said, thinking fast. "To the old city level. But it might be open." He looked down the other tunnel. Right goes to the station's core. Maybe power systems. Could be more cover. Choose fast. Lyra cried. The sound behind them was growing louder. A red glow appeared in the distance. Ray made the choice. Right. They ran into the second tunnel, past fallen lights and collapsed walls. The red glow disappeared behind them, but only for a moment. Suddenly, Nira screamed. A mechanical arm had grabbed her ankle from under the rubble. It pulled hard. Ray dropped his bag and fired his weapon. Sparks flew. The machine arm twitched and died. Lyra pulled Nira back. Both girls, shaking. Ray checked the rubble. A scout bot, buried but still active. He touched the wall beside it. There was a strange energy here, something humming deep underground. "Wait," he said. "We're close to something." He pushed aside a metal sheet. Behind it, a hidden door, locked by alien tech. He scanned the panel. "Elari system. Can you open this?" he asked Lyra. She stepped forward, unsure. Her hand glowed faintly as it touched the panel. The door clicked, opened. How? Ray began, but Lyra didn't know either. Inside was a large room, old, untouched. A command center of some kind. And in the center a map projection still working. It showed the city. The tunnels, escape paths. Enemy movement. Ray stared in disbelief. This is Elari Command Tech, secret level. But why is it still running? Lyra asked. Nira pointed at a glowing orb in the ceiling. What's that? Ray walked toward it. The orb flickered, then spoke in a female voice. Elari DNA. Confirmed. Initiating memory archive. Suddenly, the lights grew bright. Screens turned on. Images appeared of Lyra and NIR. Files. Scans. Notes. Ray turned slowly. You two were part of a project. Lyra's mouth was dry. I don't understand. But deep inside, something told her this was no accident. The screen showed text in the Elari language. Subject status. Experimental pair. Purpose. Energy key activation. Result. Incomplete. What does this mean? Lyra whispered. Ray looked pale. It means you're not just survivors. You're important. To them. To the war. He stepped back. And that means they'll never stop hunting you. A loud thud echoed above them. The enemy had found the tunnel. Ray grabbed his weapon again. They're coming. But what do they want from us? Nira asked, crying now. Ray answered in a dark voice. Not you. Your power. The room shook. Bond of survival. The ground shook again. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Sparks flew from the glowing screens. Alarms began to echo inside the hidden chamber. Ray turned quickly, grabbing the girls. We can't stay. This place is no longer safe. Lyra's heart pounded. The files on the screen still flashed her name and Nira's. She didn't understand why, but deep inside, she felt something was waking up inside her. Ray pulled a small device from his belt. He scanned the far wall. There's another exit. Emergency maintenance tunnel. He found a panel and forced it open. A narrow, dark path waited beyond. Hurry, he said. The three of them crawled into the narrow passage. Behind them, the main room exploded with light as a drone crashed through the ceiling. They escaped just in time. They walked for hours. The tunnel seemed endless, cold, silent, empty. Nira's small feet were bleeding. Lyra's hands trembled. But Ray kept going, guiding them like a tired ghost. Finally, they reached an old transport station abandoned, full of rusted machines and broken glass. They took shelter inside a storage room. Ray dropped his bag and fell to the ground, breathing heavily. We're safe. For now, he said. Nir lay down and closed her eyes. Lyra sat beside Ray. What was that place? She asked. Why were our names there? Ray stared at the cracked ceiling. That was Elari military tech. Ancient. Secret. Not everyone knew about it. But we are just kids, Lyra whispered. No, Ray replied. You were born for something else. He paused. In the early days of war, your people were losing. Then they started making something. Children with power. Energy inside them that could connect with alien systems. Unlock weapons. Control machines. Power ships without fuel. He looked at her carefully. You and your sister are one of those pairs. Lyra's eyes filled with fear. We didn't ask for this. I know, Ray said gently. That's why we survive. Not because you're weapons, but because you're still human inside. She looked at him. But we're not human. Ray gave a tired smile. You care for your sister. You protect her. You cry, you hurt, you feel. That makes you more human than half the people. I've known. The next day, they continued moving through ruined streets. Smoke still rose in the distance. Machines searched from the skies. Ray taught them simple English words as they moved. Hide. Quiet. Danger. Run. Lyra picked them up fast. Nira copied her, laughing when she could pronounce one right. They started to understand each other, not. just with words, but through trust. They found an old supply shelter. Ray scanned the door and entered a code. It opened with a loud hiss. Inside were emergency rations, water filters, medical kits. Ray gave them food and began patching Neera's wounds. She smiled. "Thank you, Ray." He looked at her with warmth. In his eyes, "You're tough, kid." Later, Ray walked outside to scan for threats. Lyra followed him. "Why are you helping us?" she asked. Ray looked at the sky. "Because once someone helped me." He showed her a small metal tag around his neck. A name. A symbol. "I was saved by someone who believed even the smallest life matters." Lyra looked at him. "Do we matter?" He turned. "You matter more than you know." Suddenly, a shadow passed over them. Ray raised his weapon. A drone. Silent, fast, already diving toward them. He fired. Too late. The drone hit the ground near them, releasing a cloud of stunned gas. Ray grabbed Lyra and threw her back inside the shelter. He collapsed outside, coughing. "Ray!" She screamed. Another drone appeared. Then something strange happened. Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing bright blue. The drone turned toward her, but it stopped, hovered. A strange sound filled this air, like music, but cold and digital. Lyra's body pulsed with light. Her eyes glowed. The drone froze. Ray watched from the ground, wide-eyed. "What are you doing?" "I don't know," she whispered. "But it's listening to me." She raised her hand. The drone turned and flew away. Later that night, they sat by a small fire. Ray couldn't stop staring at her. "You controlled it." Lyra shook her head. "It felt like it knew me." "You connected," Ray said. "You're waking up. The project inside you is activating. What does that mean?" She asked. "It means you're no longer just a target," Ray said. "Now you're a threat to them," as they prepared to sleep. Ray checked a damaged radio. He got a weak signal, fragmented voices. Search, girls. Reward, orders from high command, kill the human. He turned it off. Looked at the girls. He wouldn't tell them yet, but he knew they weren't just being hunted. A price was on their heads, and the entire galaxy would soon be looking for them. Shadows of the past asterisk. The night was silent, but not peaceful. Ray sat alone outside the shelter, staring into the fire. His weapon rested across his knees, but his mind was somewhere far away. Inside, the girls were finally sleeping. Neera's soft breath rose and fell as she clung to her sister. Lyra had one arm protectively around her, even while unconscious. Ray's eyes drifted to the glowing device on his wrist. He tapped it. The display flickered. A red signal pulsed slow and steady. A tracker. He had disabled it once. But somehow, it had reactivated. Ray cursed under his breath. Someone out there still had a lock on him, or maybe on them. The next morning, the sun rose through the ash-filled sky. Gray light touched the broken world. The three survivors moved again, this time toward the outskirts of the city. Ray had a plan. "There's a crashed Alari dropship near Sector 9, he told Lyra. "If we can get its core unit, we might power an old transport shuttle hidden in the mountain base." "Will that get us off-world?" Lyra asked. Ray shook his head. "No, but it can get us to a safe zone, a hidden colony. Human and Alari survivors." Lyra nodded. "Then we try." The city became more twisted the deeper they went. Towers had fallen sideways. Streets had cracked open. Machines lay scattered, burned, destroyed, but not forgotten. Every wall held marks of war. Blaster holes, blood, symbols, names written in fear. Neera suddenly stopped. Her eyes stared at a wall with a symbol drawn in white chalk. It looked familiar. "What is it?" Ray asked. Lyra walked closer. Her face went pale. That was our house symbol, she whispered. Memories flooded back. Their mother's voice. Laughter. The smell of warm food. Gone. But someone had been here. Someone who had survived. At least for a while. They followed the markings down a broken alley. Inside a collapsed building, they found something that made Lyra fall to her knees. A message, etched into metal in Elari script. To my daughters, survive. Trust the light inside you. I will find you. It was signed, Mother. Lyra touched the message, tears falling silently. Nira hugged her tight. Ray stood quietly behind them. That night, they camped near the crash site. The air was colder now. Silent in a different way, a hunted way. Ray checked his scanner. It beeped. Movement. He drew his weapon and scanned the area. His eyes caught something, a figure, fast, disappearing behind a wall. He ran after it. But when he reached the spot, there was nothing, only a small metallic object left on the ground. He picked it up. A soldier's tag. Human. He turned it over and froze. His name was on it. Suddenly, his communicator buzzed. Ray. A voice, cold, familiar. This is Commander Voss. You thought you could run forever? Ray stared at the sky. His past had caught up. You left me to die, Ray growled. I followed orders, the voice replied. But you broke protocol. You're protecting enemy assets. They're not weapons. They're children. They're keys. And the people who built them didn't expect them to live this long. Ray crushed the communicator. He returned to the camp, but Lyra had already seen the fear in his eyes. The next morning, they reached the crashed Elari ship. It was half buried in rubble, flames long gone, but smoke still rising from the cracked engines. Stay close, Ray said. He climbed into the twisted wreckage. The girls followed carefully. Inside, the ship was quiet. Lights blinked weakly. Shadows moved between corridors. In the main room, Ray found what he was looking for, the core unit. But next to it lay an Elari soldier. His chest was broken open. Strange device had been pulled from inside him. Ray stepped back. This wasn't the crash. This was an extraction, Lyra finished. They turned to leave, but the door slammed shut. Lights turned red. A trap. The ship came alive with sounds mechanical. Clicks. Bootsteps. Humming wires. From the hallway, a dark figure entered. Not a drone. Not a soldier. A collector. Half machine, half alien. Eyes glowing. Wires around its spine. It looked at Lyra and Nira and smiled, if you could call it that. You survived longer than expected, it said. Ray raised his weapon. Step away. The collector didn't even flinch. I have orders. The keys must be returned to the core. We're not keys, Lyra shouted. The collector raised a clawed hand, but then Nira screamed. The ship began to shake. The lights exploded. The collector stumbled back. Lyra's hands glowed bright, blue fire pulsing through her veins. The control panels lit up. The ship's systems obeyed her. You can command our tech? The collector whispered. Yes, she said, voice shaking. And I'm done being hunted. She reached out, and every light in the ship surged. The collector was thrown back by a shockwave, sparks flying. Ray grabbed the girls and ran. Behind them. The ship began to collapse. Outside, they fell to the ground, breathing hard. The core unit was in Ray's bag. But something else had changed. Lyra now knew. She could control Elari systems. Ray looked at her, half amazed, half afraid. You're becoming what they built you to be, he said. No, Lyra whispered. I'm becoming more. The truth revealed. The mountain winds howled like distant ghosts. Ray, Lyra, and Nira stood at the edge of the cliff. The crashed LRA ship burning behind them. Smoke curled into the sky like a signal one the whole galaxy could see. Ray clutched. The stolen core unit in one hand, weapon in the other. The girls stood beside him, silent and shaken. Nira leaned on Lyra, too tired to cry. They had survived the collector, but the questions were growing louder than the explosions they'd left behind. By nightfall, they reached an old hideout, carved into the mountain's Ray's last safe house. It was hidden behind layers of rock and shielded by stealth tech. He activated the lock, and the metal door opened with a low hiss. Inside, the air was dry and still. Maps, gear, and encrypted consoles lined the walls. This was once a rebel command post. No, it was all they had left. Ray powered up the console and plugged in the Alari core. The room lit up. Files appeared, classified, ancient forbiddance. He didn't speak for a long time. Then he turned to Lyra. I need you to see something. She stepped forward. The system scanned her and unlocked new files that even Ray couldn't access before. Hologram of an Alari general appeared. His face was scarred, his voice cold. Project Lumina, initiated cycle 2194. Purpose, design a living interface that can connect to lost Starforge technology. 2 hosts selected, child grade, bonded emotionally for stability. DNA modified, neural circuits linked, emotional responses controlled by light energy. The Lumina pair will unlock the gate. Ray froze. The gate? Lyra's voice trembled. What is that? The screen changed. A massive structure appeared floating in deep space, black as night, surrounded by broken ships and burned moons. The gate was built by the first race. It hides a weapon powerful enough to destroy or reset entire civilizations. Only a living interface can access it. The Lumina pair is the key. Ray stepped back. This is why everyone's after you, not to protect you, to use you. Nira stared at the screen, eyes wide. So we're not even real. Lyra knelt beside her. We're real. We feel. We love. No one can take that from us. But her own heart was breaking. All this time, she thought they were just forgotten. Children. Survivors. Now she knew. They were designed to be tools. Weapons disguised as lives. Ray looked at the screen again. And there's worse. Another file unlocked. Images of Commander Voss. Agent Voss assigned to capture the pair. Use of force approved. Target, Ray Carter marked as traitor. Plan Omega. If pair cannot be retrieved, terminate. Ray clenched his fists. They never planned to rescue you. They only wanted control. And if they couldn't have it, they'd erase you. The next morning, a low beep woke them. Ray checked the scanner. Someone's close. Lyra sat up, alert. How close? He didn't answer. Suddenly, boom. The mountain shook. A missile hit the side of the cliff. Ray grabbed the girls and pushed them into a back corridor. Go to the escape pod tunnel. Outside, ships hovered. Soldiers dropped from the sky wearing black armor with no flags. Mercenaries. Hired by Voss. Inside the tunnels. Alarms echoed. They reached the pod chamber. Ray began powering up the old transport unit. You need to get to the colony, he said. The coordinates are in the core. Once you get there, tell them everything. Lyra stared at him. You're coming too. Ray shook his head. I'll hold them off, Nira cried. Don't leave us. Ray knelt beside her. You gave me something to fight for again. You reminded me what it means to protect. He looked at Lyra. You're not just the key. You're a choice. Make the right one. The door behind them exploded. Ray turned, gun in hand. Lyra screamed as the doors closed behind them. The pod launched. Through the window, they saw the hideout disappear in flames. Nira clutched her sister. Lyra watched in silence. Her tears didn't fall, not yet, because deep inside her, something changed. The pod flew across the wastelands. Powered by the Alari core dot, as it rose into the upper sky, a message blinked on the console. Core sync, 100%. Gate coordinates unlocked. Lyra stared. A new map appeared. The gate.waiting.calling.nia looked up at her. What now? Lyra looked at the stars. Her voice was calm. We finish what they started, but on our terms. She touched the screen, and for the first time she chose, not as a weapon, not as a key, but as a sister, as a protector, as something greater. A force they could no longer control. Betrayal and battle. Asterisk. The sky was no longer red, it was black. The escape pod flew through the dark clouds, heading toward the hidden colony deep inside the Wyron crater. Below, the planet was in ruins. Flames still burned in the cities. Machines still hunted. But somewhere beyond the chaos, hope still lived. Inside the pod, Lyra sat still. Her eyes didn't blink. Her hands gripped the console like it was her. Last Anchor.nira sat beside her, silent. Neither had spoken since Ray's final stand. They both knew. He might not have survived, but they also knew they had to keep moving. Suddenly, the pod jolted. An alert blinked on the screen. Incoming signal detected. Broadcast origin. Human channel. Authentication code. High command. Lyra hesitated. Then, tapped. Accept. A hologram flickered to life. Commander Voss. His eyes were cold. His face full of fake calm. Lyra. Nira. I imagine by now you know who I am. Lyra narrowed her eyes. You sent soldiers to kill us. I sent soldiers to contain. A threat, he replied. That's what you are. A threat to both Ilari and human survival. You turned Ray against his own people, Lyra spat. Voss smiled faintly. Ray was a good soldier, until you broke him. Nira stepped forward. He saved us. And I will honor his sacrifice, Voss said darkly, by making sure you never activate the gate. The screen went dark. Lyra didn't blink. He's coming. 30 minutes later, the pod landed at the colony. The underground entrance opened. A woman stood waiting, tall, calm, wearing a coat marked with both Ilari and human symbols. My name is Kale. I was Ray's contact. She looked at them closely. You're the Lumina pair. Lyra nodded. Kale didn't bow. She didn't gasp. She just said, then we don't have time. Inside the colony, survivors moved quickly. Some were injured, others armed, and a few clearly carried scars from other worlds. Kale led the girls to a deep chamber filled with ancient tech. This was once a Starforge relay, she explained. Built by the first race. Only the Lumina can power it now. Lyra placed her hand on the center panel. A wave of energy pulsed through the room. The map of the galaxy lit up. The gate appeared again, and this time a path opened, but as soon. As the light rose, alarms sounded. Kale spun around. Ships above us. The enemy had arrived. Outside, the ground cracked open as Voss's forces dropped in. Black-armored soldiers, walkers, drones, even strange experimental machines. Part biological, part weapon. At the front stood Commander Voss, in full battle. Armor. Bring me the girls, he ordered. Alive, if possible. Inside, Kale handed Lyra a pulse emitter. You must run. There's a back route, an old cargo line that leads to the mountain pass. Lyra looked at her. Why help us? Kale replied, because I once had a daughter. She didn't survive the first wave. If I can help you live, maybe that will mean something. Suddenly, a blast rocked the chamber. The wall exploded. Soldiers stormed in. Kale fought them off, fiercely, two blades in her hands. moving like wind. Go, she shouted. Lyra and Nira ran through the tunnels, chased by explosions. Doors slammed behind them. Fire burned through corridors. In the distance, they saw the exit. Freedom. But standing in their way, Commander Voss. He was alone, calm, confident. Lyra stopped. Her hand glowed faintly. You won't take us. Voss took a step forward. I don't need to. You'll come willingly. He pressed a button on his arm. A hologram appeared behind him. Ray, alive, tied, wounded, still breathing. Voss said, but not for long. Nira cried, Ray. Voss turned to Lyra. Come with me. Power the gate, or he dies. Lyra stepped forward slowly. Let her go, Nira begged. Lyra whispered, I'm not letting him die. She raised her hands, but then she dropped to her knees, the energy inside her twisting, burning. The system inside her body had been corrupted. Voss's weapon had infected her when she touched the core. Voss smiled. Yes, that's what I needed. Your connection. And now, it's mine. He activated a pulse. Lyra screamed out. Her body floated. Her eyes went white. The gate signal began to respond to him. Suddenly, a blast hit Voss from behind. Kale. Wounded. Barely standing, but not dead. You made one mistake, she said, firing again. You forgot she's more than just code. Lyra's energy exploded outward. The signal broke. The connection severed. The corruption reversed. And she chose again. Not to be a weapon, but a protector. She struck the ground. A shockwave threw Voss across the chamber. Ray's chains broke. He fell forward. Lyra collapsed. Nira ran to her. I'm here, she said. You did it. Ray crawled over, holding Lyra's hand. She was weak but breathing. She broke the control, Hale said. She resisted it. Ray whispered, she's not just the key. She's the lock. Outside, Voss's soldiers began to fall back. Their systems crash-jammed by the very tech Lyra had just overridden. Voss lay broken. His armor cracked. And as the colony burned, Lyra stood up slowly, eyes glowing. Her voice calm. You will never control me again. Escape and new home smoke rose from the broken mountains. The battle was over. Commander Voss was gone. His soldiers scattered. His plan shattered by the one thing he didn't understand. Choice, not power, not programming, not control, but a single, fearless choice. Made by someone he thought was just a weapon. Lyra had not just survived. She had changed everything. She stood now on the edge of the mountain pass, blood on her hands, her eyes still glowing faintly with the light of the Alari. Core, behind her, Nira helped Ray walk. He was weak but alive. Each step was slow, but every breath was freedom. The ruins of the colony lay behind them, still smoking, but the enemy was gone. And the stars above looked different now, closer, brighter, full of silent promises. But the gate still called. And Lyra could feel it. They made camp in an abandoned cargo cave that night. Ray patched up his wounds with Kale's last medkit. Nira fell asleep quickly, curled up in Lyra's coat. Lyra sat outside, watching the stars. Ray joined her. You should rest. She didn't answer at first. Then finally, I'm scared. Of what? Of what happens next. Ray sat beside her. You fought off something no one else could. You held back a system built to enslave you. Lyra looked at her glowing fingers. But what if I lose control again? Ray replied quietly. Then we fight through it, together. The next morning, Ray guided them to an old military platform built into the CLIFFSIDE. Inside, hidden beneath thick stone and frozen steel, was a single spacecraft, the Starfall. A stealth-class Elari human hybrid. Long forgotten, but still functional. This was going to be the last escape ship for civilians, Ray said. But no one ever made it here. Until now. They boarded it. The ship came alive instantly. The systems recognized Lyra before she even touched the panel. Lumina pair confirmed. Navigation unlocked. A map of the stars opened. The gate was highlighted, now fully exposed. A blinking beacon pulsed beneath it. Unknown signal source. Lyra looked at Ray. It's not over. No, he said. It's just beginning. They flew through burned skies above destroyed cities, across space where debris floated like frozen memories and finally beyond the edge of the known. Galaxy. The gate. It wasn't just a structure. It was alive. A massive circular ring floating. In black space, miles wide, covered in ancient runes that pulsed as the starfall approached. Suddenly, lights on the console blinked rapidly. Ray read the signals. It's reacting to you. It knows you're here. Lyra reached out. A panel on. The ship opened. A small glowing orb floated out. It hovered above her hand. Insert core. She took the orb and placed it near her chest. It melted into her. Neera screamed, "Lyra!" But Lyra didn't cry out. She stood tall, eyes shining bright white now. Gate opened slowly. Inside was not what they expected. No weapons. No machines. Just light. Warm. Endless. Pure. A voice spoke, not with sound, but with feeling. You are the first to reach us by choice, not by force. Lyra floated now, suspended. In the light, you carry both pain and love, power and compassion. You are more than code. You are the future. The gate offered her a gift, a seed of creation. Technology so powerful it could rebuild worlds, or erase them. Ray watched from the ship. You don't have to take it. But Lyra smiled softly. I do. For Neera, for Ray, for everyone who is lost. She touched the core of the gate, and the seed was born. They returned to space, the starfall now glowing with gate power. Neera hugged her sister. What will we do now? Lyra looked toward a new star chart. We build a home, a real one, a place where no child is left behind. Ray added, and where no one is used like a tool. The starfall turned. Behind them, the gate shut forever. Ahead, new worlds. New hope. New beginnings. Months later, on a green planet untouched by war, children play near silver towers. Aliens and humans live together. Ray teaches survival skills. Grows flowers that glow at night. And Lyra? She watches the stars, waiting for the next lost soul to fall from the sky. She will be ready, not as a weapon, not as a key, but as a protector, a beacon, a legend.